and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Angel and today I'll be sharing some more budget-friendly DIYs. Before we get started, as always, if you enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, and if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel and click that little notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of my future videos. For this first project, we'll be using one of these wood pieces from Dollar Tree and also some of this Dollar Tree yarn. Now you can choose any colors you want, but you'll just need 2 colors. And then I'm going to mix up some of my brown paint with some water to make a stain for my wood piece. Now, as always, this is totally optional and you can stain it or paint it whatever color you want, or you could just leave it the natural wood. Now, I'm also going to be using this piece of cardstock that I just had left over from a different project. You can use a piece of poster board or cardboard if you'd like, but I'm just going to go ahead and trace out how long I want these pieces to be, and then I'm going to make 2 pieces to attach my yarn to. Now, once I had my 2 pieces of cardstock, I'm going to go ahead and figure out how long I wanted my yarn to be. I'm going to cut that piece off, and then I'm just going to use that first piece to measure out a bunch of other pieces. I didn't really count how many I used, but I just went ahead and cut them until I felt like I had enough. Then once I had all the yarn cut down, I'm going to go ahead and start gluing it to those little cardstock pieces that I had. I do recommend using a finger protector. This one's from Dollar Tree. You just want to make sure that your yarn is laying down flat while you're gluing it. And you can see when I was finished with the white yarn, I went ahead and started adding that burnt orange colored yarn that I had, and I'm going to do the same exact thing. Now here is where I kind of messed up on the other piece of cardstock. I started with the orange. I should have just started the same way with the white like I did on the other one, but I wasn't really thinking correctly, and I wanted to glue that cardstock down with the yarn facing the wood piece, but since I messed up, I just took another piece of cardstock to cover up the yarn and make sure that it stays in place. If I would have glued the white down first on that other one, then both cards would have been facing the right way. Now here, all I did was just twist my yarn, and then I'm going to glue that other side to the back of the wood piece. And here is how the yarn hanging turned out. Now this next project is a super simple one. I found this cute little succulent planter at Dollar Tree, and although he is super cute as is, I wanted to make him over. So of course I am using some of my white chalk paint mixed with a little bit of baking soda, and I ended up doing 3 coats on this owl. Now I'm also going to be using some of these gold rub-on transfers just because I wanted to make this owl kind of go with the rest of the style of my home, and this gold accent on his little wings I thought would be super cute and go with everything else in my house. Now I can say that these gold transfers were very difficult, way more difficult than the black ones, so I did end up having to use some of my gold metallic paint to fill in where the transfer kind of just didn't work too well. And since I already had my metallic paint out, I decided to paint his eyes, and this is how it turned out. My next project was inspired by these planter pots from Anthropologie, and I decided to recreate it. I am using a Dollar General planter that I've had it for many years, but you can of course just use a Dollar Tree planter. And again, I'm just using the combination of some white chalk paint with some baking soda, and I'm just going to do 2 coats on this planter. Now, while that second coat was still a little wet, I am just going to take this pick. I picked this comb up at Dollar Tree. You could also just use a plastic fork or something similar, and I'm just going to start making lines down my planter. And again, like I said, the second coat of paint was still a little wet while I did this. Then I just took my pick and I started going the other way around the planner. This is just going to give this planner some extra texture, and also because the Anthropologie one was kind of like a basket weave, I just wanted to make it as similar as possible. Then I'm just going to start making the handles for this planner, and I'm just using some Dollar Tree twine and some wood beads that I got off of Amazon. I do like to get my wood beads from Amazon because I just find it's a better deal than maybe buying them at a craft store. Then once I had the beads on there and I had the length that I wanted, I just went ahead and hot glued that twine to the inside of the planner. And honestly, it was kind of at this point that I decided I wasn't going to paint those beads white. I wasn't going to make it match the Anthropologie one exactly because I really liked the way the wood beads looked just natural. But if you decided to do this project, you could of course paint the beads as well. But here is how mine turned out. For this final project, I saw these little wood boxes at Dollar Tree a few months ago. I picked them up and knew that I wanted to make a jewelry box, trinket box with them. So I'm just going to be taking some watered down paint and staining these first. And I am going to go ahead and do the outside and the inside of the boxes. Now you can stain these any color you want or paint them. I also picked up these Dollar Tree curlers, and I thought these would work perfectly to make the little ring slots in my jewelry box. And to cover up those curlers, I just picked up this Dollar Tree fabric. You can pick any fabric you want. I just thought this one was really pretty and kind of simple. So first, I'm just going to mark these curlers and cut them down to fit in one of the slots in my box. These curlers do have the little metal piece in them, so I did have to use my shears for this, but then I was able to just remove that metal piece. Then I'm just going to take that fabric and I'm going to wrap my curlers with the fabric. I did go ahead and double wrap these because the fabric's kind of thin, so you could still see that pink through there, so I did end up doing a double wrap on them. Then I just cut off the excess fabric, and for the ends, I just put a little bit of hot glue on there, and then I pushed the fabric down into the hole. When I was hot gluing these down into the box, I made sure that the hot glue was only on the bottom side so that I could make sure that I could put my rings down in between those. I had these hinges on hand. I've had them around the house for a while. You can pick some up at a hardware store or Walmart. These were just some silver hinges, and I went ahead and I did paint them with some of my antique gold metallic paint because I just wanted to go with a kind of vintage look for my box, but you could leave them silver or pick any other hinges you want. And then to attach them, I am just using some Dollar Tree super glue because the wood on these boxes just isn't thick enough to drill into or hammer into, so the super glue works just fine. I did end up letting that glue sit for a few hours, and then to decorate the front of this, I wanted to add an accent piece. So I'm just using some of these laser cut pieces from Dollar Tree. And again, I did go ahead and use my antique gold metallic paint to paint this little flower, and then I'm just gonna glue it to the top piece. And then again, like I said, I wanted to give this a kind of vintage look. So I'm using this Dollar Tree stencil and again, some of my antique gold paint. And I'm gonna stencil this over the side of the box just where it opens. The color is not too different than what the stain is. So it kind of just looks like a faded flower on there. And I thought it looked really pretty. Let me know which was your favorite project today. Thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I will see you next time.